Okay, so, okay, in this position, white made his first mistake, but probably not his last. Okay, when your opponent plays d5, then you should take it, because e4 like stops black from playing d5. Then after you take it, black's game is in its last throws. Only a Scandi player would love it, and even they don't like it too much. Okay, e5 is a mistake. Now black has the advantage. Okay, and black made a mistake. Next move. Now both players are rated 300, and they played like it. So, you know, you can't really insult them. Black played e6, which blocks in the bishop. And what's funny is when you play e6 on move 1, you're trying to play d5. Black played d5 and didn't play e6. So now black can play bishop f5 or c5, and black stands slightly better. But instead he played e6, and now we just get into an advanced French. Minkle Moman gifted a sub. Thank you. Go gifters of subs. But stay there. Okay, so they played the main line until now. Now white made a mistake. Instead of solidifying his center with c3, white played the move dc. Okay, and if you play dc, it's a marvel if you don't lose. Okay, so dc, not as good as marvel. Bishop takes c5. Okay, now white made another mistake, bishop e3, because that ruins his pawn structure. Okay, in this position, black played the excellent queen g5, threatening these two weak pawns, and basically that wins a pawn. White played bishop b5 check, knight c6 is okay, c4 is explosive. Now, white mixed the moves bishop b5 and c4 because white played bishop b5. Black now has the excellent move queen takes g2, which wins immediately. And if white tries to save his rook with queen f3, then you lose the other rook, which is actually funny. Okay, so instead of taking this pawn, which wins a lot of material, black took this pawn. Oh, black's still up a pawn. Okay, queen e2. Queen e4, the move nobody would have ever thought of. Okay, basically any move is better than queen e4. Queen e4 allows white to double the pawns and then probably win it back. So here, black can play queen c1 check, for example, with a winning position, or trade queens with a winning position. But instead he played here, now he's not even better. Okay, takes is good, takes. Bishop takes c6 is good. That's the best move. And then knight c5. Okay, I didn't see c5. Here white should play knight c3 and try to get his pawn back. And eventually he will. It might take a few moves, but he will. But he played c5. Now he can't get his pawn back because black can play f5 here. But he played bishop a6, which I also like. f5, good. Long castle. So probably white should take en passant. But since both players are rated in the 300s, we can't assume that white knew what en passant was. Unless we see an en passant capture later, then we still won't know, because it could be sometime during the game white learned what en passant was. And maybe at this point he didn't know. Taking en passant's good because if the guy takes with the knight, which is the best move, defending the pawn, then black's pawn structure isn't very good. So even though black is a pawn up, white still has drawing chances. But after f5, if you don't take it, now we have a protected pass pawn. The e pawn is weak, so we can try to win the e pawn, and so forth. Rook d8, that's legal. Okay, king takes d8 was the best move. Knight e7, rook d1 check. Knight d5 was the best move. Rook d2, I don't know about that move. King e7, knight takes check. And now we have our second game out of two games, two out of two, where somebody has a diamond pawn structure. I wasn't betting on that before the stream started, that the first two games would have diamond pawn structures. But I wonder if c takes is the right move. Now, the engine says e takes is right, because the problem with c takes is it gives white a pass c pawn. White has 3-1 on the queen side over here. White could get those pawns going. Knight d4, b4, b5, a4, etc. Okay, he played c6. This is a blunder because you really can't save the pawn now. Rook c8. Okay, that's a mistake because now white can play knight d4. Black should have taken that and then played rook c8. Instead, white played rook c2, which is a really big blunder. And then all black has to do now is take this knight, and the rook is overworked. But instead he played bishop b5, giving white the chance to play knight d4. Then white's doing okay. But white played knight c3. That's unfortunate. Okay, now in this position, black sacrificed a piece with the unusual move rook takes c6. Instead of like bishop takes c6 or bishop d3. Bishop d3 is probably the easiest way to win. Okay, now in this position, black sacrificed a rook with the move a6, losing immediately to rook takes rook. But, you know, when black attacked the white knight, white forgot the rooks could capture each other, so white just retreated his knight. Well, white's still winning, so it's not that bad a move. Okay, I would play king takes. You want to move your king up in the endgame, and also you want your knight on d4, because d4 is a good square for your knight. But you have to remember, these people are rated 300, so you gotta give them a break. Okay, knight takes, still winning. g5, knight e3, sort of helps black. Knight f1. Now the engine says black is better down a piece. Man, harsh. a5, that's not good. g3, that's a mistake. Now black can play f3 and d4. Man, that's getting pretty aggressive. Okay, taking is a mistake. Taking with the pawn is a mistake. Should take with the knight. h5 is a good move. a3 is a very bad move. Too slow. Okay, king d2, h4, king g. These moves are good. Okay, taking on g3 is a blunder. Black wants the outside passed h pawn. He wants white's king to go over here so he can push his d pawn and e pawn. So now white's winning again. Okay, and white can win pretty easily by playing b4 and sacrificing his knight. And then black's king runs over here to stop the pawn, and white takes all the pawns. So white has a pretty easy win here. King f4 is winning, good. King g6. King takes g4, good. a4, that's a good move. b4, wow, that move loses. And this accentuates the fact that I don't think white knows the en passant rule, which we discussed earlier. Okay. However, black did know the en passant rule, and now black is winning. White can easily win by just playing king f4 and moving his knight around and taking this pawn, being up a knight. Now black is winning. White was probably confused, like what kind of sorcery is this? Okay, knight e2, good. b2, good. Knight c3 is good. e3, that's not a good move, but it wins. King f4 is a really bad move. We have to play king f3. After king f4, black can play like this move and win, or this move and win, or this move and win. All the moves win. And he played one of them. Then he queened. Now, I know I shouldn't spoil the rest of the game, but I'm going to spoil it anyway. That way it's funnier for you. This game was not won by black. I didn't tell you the final result. I just said black did not win. Okay, knight here. Okay, now the next two moves are the two worst moves in the game. And I'm serious. You might be like, well, some of those moves were pretty bad. No. Now we're going to see some bad moves. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, so queen e4 check is obviously the most, crushing move. He played queen f5 check, hanging his queen. After knight takes, white is winning, and white played king e3. So that wasn't good. Queen takes check, king d3, check. Queen takes a3, takes, check, check, check. d4, takes. That looks pretty winning. And unfortunately for black, in this position, he made one of the 4 drawing moves. Queen here, king here, and king here. And he played one of them. He played king g3, and the game ended in stalemate. Of course, when white's king is on the back row, black's queen should be on the next row, like queen here, and then we can mate 5 different ways. You got 5 mates, 1 for each of you. But you want your queen on this row when the king is on this row. For more information on how to mate with a queen, see French Grandmaster Etienne Bacrot. He's always mating on the back row. Yeah, one time Bacrot was single and he was dating a woman and they were getting intimate, and all of a sudden she was really surprised and he said, "My name is Bacrot." So that's what happens. Man, the truth hurts. It hurt a lot too. I mean, he's real anal about being back row, so there's nothing you can do about that. Study the Scandi for 18 hours. Well, when you're first starting out in chess and you haven't gotten, to where you want to go yet, and you're 300 strength, the main problem people have is they give pieces away. In this game, one side would give a piece away and the other side wouldn't take it. So a draw was a fair result because we had some blunders. But yeah, you don't want to stalemate when you're up a queen. That should be the only thing you think about, is don't stalemate. But white learned a valuable lesson this game. White learned what en passant is. He may have forgotten, but he knows what it is now. Very typical Scandi game, that's right.